All right. Hello and welcome back to the State of the League podcast, a series where I, Jack, aka Jokic Joestar, am taking a look at the upcoming 2023-24 NBA season through the lens of the fans of each NBA franchise. And today I am joined by the internet's number one Ben 10 9/11 conspiracy theorist, Pablo Escobar from TikTok. How you doing today?
Thank you, Mr. Star. And I would not describe myself as a conspiracy theorist. I would describe myself as an optimist because I paint a world where these tragedies never happened. So I reject your premise, good sir.
I suppose that's true. You do give us hope for a brighter world. I suppose you'll find a character with time travel. You did Phineas and Ferb. I saw that one. So if we
hmm
could only make Phineas and Ferb real life, we could fix all this shit. No problem.
And I just did True Jackson VP run a cartel. The video didn't do well, so I don't think the people are interested. But if you're interested, go check out my TikTok. I have an answer for you.
Hey, True Jackson VP is kind of a deep cut. I wouldn't abandon the concept just yet. Not everybody's rocking with True Jackson VP like we are.
Real hoopers know. Real hoopers know.
Real Hoopers now. That's the Jermaine O'Neal of Nickelodeon TV shows.
Oh my god.
All right.
What did he do? He like that they gave his number. What is he mad about right now?
Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is going from 24 to 7, which is the number Jermaine O'Neal wore for the Pacers. And Jermaine O'Neal's like, you're letting fucking Buddy Hield wear my number? What the hell?
And has nobody worn it since?
I guess not. I'm not that tapped into the number pacer, the number culture of the Indiana Pacers, but I don't know. Nobody for Jermaine to make a stink about at this point, which I don't know. He was pretty good for a while there. Retire his number. I don't care, Indiana. Do what you want.
That's so funny because with the Bulls, nobody has worn one since Derrick Rose, but they have tried. But when they do it, everyone goes on Twitter and their social media and they're like, "Get, don't wear this jersey number or I'll kill you or whatever." And then they're like, "Jesus Christ, sorry, I won't wear it." But I cannot imagine that the same thing has been going for Jermaine O'Neal for like a decade now, where the Pacers fans are like, do not wear that number 7. That's the second best O'Neal in NBA history's number. Take it off.
I'm dead. Yeah, it goes Shaq, Jermaine, and then Royce O'Neal there at number 3. So
Oh, nice. Hopefully Sharif passes him.
oh, I'm dead. All right. Okay. So the first question I have for you today is how are you feeling about where the Chicago Bulls are currently at as a franchise?
Horribly. It's one of the worst things in my life that's happened to me. And we're just in hell. We're in purgatory. All the Bulls fans watching, if I saw you in the street, we might recognize each other. We'd be like, "Hey, I know you from somewhere. Where was it?" And be like, "Oh, because we're in hell. Is it the swimming pool full of fire? Were you doing laps in fire? Oh, were you at the Ronald Reagan Cafe? Maybe that's where I saw you. We are just in hell. There's no optimism. You know what they call our team on the Chicago Bulls subreddit? They call them the mid three. The mid three. Oh my god. This is a dark era. It's the darkest era since the three alphas, which was another pairing of three players that were so mid. We have no optimism. We've gone all in on a core that is not going to do anything. And I'm just praying we blow it up by the time that Cooper Flag is in the draft and we at least have a chance, because otherwise there's no point in watching this team unless we decide to blow it up, except for, oh, is this the year Patrick Williams turns into Kawhi? But I'm not super optimistic.
It might be. It might be the Kawhi year. Yeah.
Oh, it might be. It could be the year.
I have
Uh,
I have some notes here off to the side, and for my answer to number one, I just said I do not like it. It's like as far as I had the teams kind of stacked into different tiers or categories or whatever you call it. And it was the Bulls, and there's maybe like one other where it's just straight up no man's land. The Wizards would have been in it last year or this year if they had held on to Beal. But just in terms of like a team whose ceiling and floor are so inconsequential, like it just doesn't feel like there's any world where they make like a real run at like a deep playoffs or a high draft pick, anything like that. Just such a guaranteed like 11 to 7 seed, and like 7, maybe this is the year it comes together, their chemistry, like they all really ball out and get that 7 seed. But it's pretty gnarly. I don't really believe in DeRozan or Vucevic as players. I am every year I get burned because I buy Zach LaVine stock when he scores 30 points in like 7 straight games. And I'm like, dude, look at the.
Oh yeah, he does pop up to start the year. It's like, whoa, is he Kobe? But then it's like by game 11, it's like, oh, he was excited. We're back down to
Oh, yeah.
earth.
There was, yeah, because I got it right. I got it right with Giannis and Jokic, where I bought in early and I pushed agendas and I got to be a fucking nerd afterwards. And a couple years ago, I was like, what if Zach LaVine's better than Devin Booker? Everybody.
Oh, so so here's the thing. Yeah, and I've been like years ago in the Bulls community, it was like could Zach be better than Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell? And now in the years since, it's like, well, he's out of the argument. But here's the thing about Zach LaVine is he has never had a fair shot in his entire career because he's never played with a real point guard or any kind of like high volume a solid decision making player or anything. Like he was on those terrible Timberwolves teams, and then he came and it was just like the engine for our terrible Bulls teams. And we had no offense except hey, let's pass it around the perimeter. Oh no, nothing's opening up. Zach, save us! And then we give the ball to Zach LaVine. And it's like, yeah, it's like the little kid who sees Mr. Incredible in the driveway and he's like, do something incredible. Um, and then he's just not that guy because he's not this fantastic like he's not a great decision maker. He's an okay passer. He loves to take mid-range shots which look good because he jumps so high, but he's never been very good at them. But what he is good at is finishing at the rim and shooting threes. People don't realize how good of a three-point shooter he is. He can run around everywhere. He can hit him at crazy angles. And so if he were to ever be on a team, if he were to ever play off Jokic, have you ever heard this, that a player would be better if they played with
I think
Nikola
I might have heard
Jokic?
something about that. Yeah.
If he were to play with anybody like that, where he could just be a complete off-ball player, where he's running around screens and hitting crazy movement threes, and then just attacking closeouts, and he just leaves them in the dust because he doesn't even need a closeout to get by somebody. But when they're doing it, it's like he's just phasing directly through you. That's how athletic he is. If he were to just ever be on a real team, and he's not as bad defensively as people say, like they talk about him like he's a Trae Young or something, like just having his presence on the floor is so destructive, but that's not entirely true because we have somehow, I don't know how, somehow we had a top 5 defense last year. We've had like good defenses the past few years, and like even under Jim Boylan, I think we were somehow a good defensive team. And so he's somebody who can exist on a good defensive infrastructure. He's okay on the ball. He does get lost off the ball, but I don't think it's like to a cataclysmic level. And so if he were to ever be on some real team, like playing alongside Jokic or playing in Miami, playing somewhere where there's he's incentivized to cut and he knows somebody can find him the ball and he can score that way, I think we'd be talking about him way different. We'd be talking about him as like a like Klay Thompson level or something like that. Um but yeah, he's been forced into this on-ball role, and Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker are way better at the on-ball role. So there's not a discussion there anymore. And then yeah, I don't know what the future is for him because even DeRozan is pretty good with the ball, but it's like the pressure he puts on defense is weird because he's still like just an isolation mid-range scorer at the end of the day who can like score on the guy who's in front of him, but he's not necessarily like slashing up these defenses, sending them into rotation, making things easy for Zach. And then Vucevic, with I don't know, he's just a floor spacing big for us. And so this is not a good situation for Zach. I would love to see him go somewhere where it is, and then people would recognize how good he is. Like at one point, he's like a 25 point per game, 64% true shooting guy or
Oh
something like
yeah,
that.
a couple seasons. I mean, you come through his box scores, and it's just like you can't just watch the game through the box scores. There are like flaws in
Hmm.
his game that don't show up there or whatever, but he's good, like 25, 5 and 4 on like you said, even like 60% true shooting. Not that many players in the league can put up numbers like that. And I think I mean obviously you're tapped into the team. You know a lot about him, but I mean yeah, like you addressed the fact that he is being tasked with being this on-ball creator and generating so much of the team's offense and being like the point guard for a lot of the time. It's ridiculous. It's not his skill set at all. And I think Devin Booker specifically, I don't know how good I feel about Donovan Mitchell doing something like that. I think he's better than LaVine, but I think Booker as like a part-time point guard is a really high level player in terms of like the reads he makes and everything. But yeah, like it does feel like LaVine gets painted unfairly in a lot of ways, and obviously playing in Denver would be really good for him. The one rumor I heard last year that this would not address any of those problems really was that like what if the Sixers pushed in all their chips and got him? And I'm like, dude, it
Mm,
feels like there would be a lot more issue, or like not a lot more because there's the gravity of Embiid there and everything. But in terms of like
hmm.
there are spots you cannot go on the floor with when you're playing with Joel Embiid, just in terms of like slashing to the rim. The rim protector is going to be there because Joel Embiid is trying to get the ball in the post or at the elbow or whatever. And
Hmm.
he's really good scoring from those spots and everything. But just in terms of like what that would allow Zach LaVine to do, I don't think it really solves any of the big issues that have held him back in Chicago in any capacity. And so, yeah, it's unfair. And I have a second note here where I said, it sucks losing Lonzo. It sucks because I really like what he does. I thought he was a fun player who was kind of putting it all together. But if your big three all play 74 games and you go 40 and 42, that is, I mean, a gut punch condemnation of like the way the team is constructed.
Yeah, and then so with the Sixers fit, that's another spot that's not the best for him in the world because when I look at Embiid, I have a kind of similar feelings where it's like when the ball has to be in your hands all the time, it's like I'm not totally loving it. I would like to have a playmaker to take pressure off you, and that's why they got Harden and he wins MVP. Although I don't know how much that's connected because he kind of won MVP just by like turning into Dirk Nowitzki, where he's like, I'm just gonna do all these face ups on the perimeter all the time and kill everybody. But still, I feel like he needs a perimeter steady decision maker. And then if they like pivoted off Harden and went to Zach LaVine, I don't know if that helps. And that's the issue with Zach LaVine. Like there were those Philly rumors, and there's been like some Knicks rumors. Um, but and then with the Knicks, it's like Brunson's not a great passer. RJ Barrett is not passing when he gets the ball. And so I don't know. I haven't heard like a single team where he would be good. I have not heard that they would even want him. So I don't know. And he's really good, but I don't know what his trade value is because it seems like people are not interested in giving anything up with him. But for Lonzo, so with Lonzo in within our front office and the not I'm not even going to put this on our fan base. I'm going to put this on the front office. Actually no, I am going to put it on
Let him have
part of
it.
the
Oh
fan
my
base.
god.
Yeah. Uh, so flashback 2011. Derrick Rose, you've heard of him?
I have, yes, once in a while.
So he gets hurt for a lot and for a long time. And then for the next decade of our franchise's existence, every basketball discussion is, man, if Derrick Rose just didn't get hurt, what could this team do? Like, oh my God, look at Joakim Noah Jokic before Jokic running the offense. What could we have been with Derrick Rose here? Oh my God, if Jimmy hit his prime with Derrick Rose, what could we have been? And then every press conference, Garpax, both of them, they would be like, the media would basically be like, hey, why are you doing such a bad job running this team? Why does this team suck? And be like, wow, that Derrick Rose injury really set us back. And it's like 2016. It's like, man, that Rose injury 5 years ago, like you guys couldn't do this. That set us off. This new front office, it's not even Garpax anymore. It's a whole new front office. They are starting to do this with the Lonzo Ball injury. Like the media is like, hey, why does this mid team? Why is the mid three running it back? Why is this mid team getting another chance? Like, what are you expecting to be different? And then they're hitting us with well, man, if Lonzo Ball didn't get hurt, man, things would be so
That's so
different. Remember
nasty.
that the remember November of 2021, was it, or whatever, where him and Caruso were spearheading the best defense in the league. They're changing the NBA. You don't need a center to be the best defense in the NBA. You just need the two best perimeter defenses in the league. Thinking basketball's making a video about it. He's like, what's going on here? Everyone's like, oh my God, is Lonzo Ball the savior of the Chicago Bulls? Well, he immediately, I don't even
Disintegrate.
remember what
I mean,
happened
yeah.
then. Yeah, I think he got hurt back then too. But like, yeah, we were on top for one or 2 months. We were like at the top of the East or whatever. I don't know the time span. We were on top for like a few months in 2021 or whatever, and they're still holding on to that optimism. Like, once he comes back, that's who we're gonna be. We're gonna be on top of the East. It's like number one. Even if we had kept that core healthy for that entire season, I don't even believe that we finish on top, because teams just start off hot. Like, was it you this past year? Utah was like at the top of the West
Yeah,
for
they
the
were they
entire.
were the one seed for a while there at the beginning of the
Yeah,
season.
and wasn't New Orleans number two
The
forever?
standings in the West were bizarre for like the entire first half of the year last year, to be honest.
Yeah, and then so it's like I didn't even believe in that team if it was healthy that we would be like a high end contender, but because they only saw that flash, it's kind of like the Len Bias effect. People are like, Len Bias would have been an all time great. It's like, we didn't even see anything. And they're doing that with that mid Bulls team, and so, and now they're just telling us like, hey, just imagine that Lonzo Ball, once he comes back to this core, will be so good. And it's like, there's absolutely zero chance he's the same Lonzo Ball at all. Like, even if he's able to fully recover offensively, which he was really good, but he was good as like an off, but well, he was like a hybrid on off ball 3 point shooting wing, like ball handling wing. He was not a full-time point guard, because as we've learned, Lonzo Ball is just not a full-time point guard, because he can't like put that kind of pressure on the rim off the
Yeah, he
dribble.
can't finish.
Um, yeah, and so it's like, that he might come back 100% offensively, but like, nobody ever comes back defensively from these big injuries. And it's like, if there's rumors like he was considering retirement and stuff like that. It's like, you really think he's gonna come? And they didn't know what knee injury he even had for like a year or something like that. And so, you really think he's gonna recover to the point where he can be one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA again? It's like zero
Yeah,
chance. Like,
it's
Klay Thompson's defense is gone. I think Durant's defense is gone. That's like, people are starting to come back from these injuries offensively, but defense does not seem to come back.
yeah, and like it's so nasty to do that. Like Derrick Rose was an MVP. It's so easy to be like that changes the entire course of like what our team was then, is now, and would have been in like 2 years. Like a 7 year stretch, if you have an MVP caliber player, like it completely changes the dynamic of your team. Lonzo Ball is like 14-7 and like 41% from three. That's a good player, especially the kind of defense he was playing there at the beginning. That is not the kind of player that you like point to and you're like, okay, this is why all of the mid three was healthy and the Bulls just merely rocked us in the first round, and then we come back and we're in the play-in the next season. It's because Lonzo's gone. Yeah, I don't know. It's just that feels very unfair to the fans, and I'm sorry that you have to root for a front office like that, because it's definitely frustrating at times.
Yeah, it's the worst thing that ever happened to me. But I've had a very easy life, so.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the worst thing, I suppose, yeah, you can enjoy yourself at night. All right. The second question I have for you about the Bulls is about their off-season moves. Not the most active off-season in the world. I was just curious. Like, we'll talk about the stuff as far as like extensions go. Was there anything that you felt was like super notable that you're like, this? I don't know. Keep an eye on this in the upcoming season.
Well, we continued our long tradition, the history of the greatest perimeter defense point guards in NBA history. How many franchises can match our impact? Woo! Javon Carter, Patrick
Oh,
Beverly, Alex
yeah.
Caruso, Kirk
Oh my
Heinrich,
God.
Norm Van Leer. Who else has it? Who else has it? Nobody but
Nobody.
us. We
That is a
have it. But
storied
yeah,
tradition right there. I did not. Once you start listing
yeah.
them off, I'm like, holy shit! Get these guys a rim protector. Oh my God.
It's not the Chicago Bulls unless we have a point guard who is pretty good on the ball on defense. But yeah, we got Javon Carter. He's fine, but it's like this is like I'd be excited if it's like if we're an actual good team and we got Javon Carter and it's like, whoa, this guy's coming off our bench. This is great. But it's like, is Javon Carter? Is Javon Carter going to be our best player, our second best player, our third best player? No. So yeah, things are not going to change. Maybe I'll have some fun in January 8th. Maybe I'll get to see Javon Carter make somebody's life hard. Like maybe he'll get a strip steal on Kyrie, and we'll go, yeah, yeah, this is what it was all for. But outside of that, it's like that's not changing my life. Um, with the draft, we drafted a dude who's probably not gonna play. Um, yeah, this team, I'm it's all the same guys. It's like a TV show that is already washed, and like the earlier seasons were good, but now you're in like season 8 and it's like nothing's changing. I don't even
Oh
know
yeah.
what the good TV show comp would be off the
It's How
dome.
I Met Your
But
Mother. Marshall and Lily have moved out to the suburbs. We're late. It's about to wrap up, and it's just not going well at all. It's not fun anymore. Barney Stinson has already aged poorly before the show is even over, and so it's just like, yeah.
Uh, oh, but not in real life because Neil deGrasse Tyson, or not Neil deGrasse Tyson. What is his name in real life?
It's Neil Patrick
um,
Harris. There we go.
Neil Patrick Harris, because he has aged
Oh
fantastically
yeah,
in
handsome
in
guy.
looks wise.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but we've got the same core, the mid three, and all the counterparts are back. Maybe Dalen Terry will get minutes. I don't know, but yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, it's always
Oh, and we got Car. Wait, actually, is he even gonna play? Well, we had I don't know what the status of this guy is, but Carlick Jones. He was in our G
I'm
League. We
unfamiliar
we
with
also
Carlick Jones. You're gonna have
we also have a history of G League success. We had Antonio Blakeney, the Michael Jordan of the G League. I don't know if you know, but we had Carlick Jones last year, who averaged something crazy like 20 and 10 in the G League, like 40% 3-point shooting. This could be entirely made up, but I think it's something that happened. And then he played for some random. I have like 23% of this information in my brain. It's like a Skyrim map that's all fogged up. He played for some country in FIBA and he did really well. So maybe it's like, oh my god, Carlick Jones is coming back. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's always bizarre to me when you see teams that clear like the Bulls that clearly need major structural change and they make a move where you're like, for a contender, that would have been a good marginal move. Like getting Javon Carter, that could like push a competitive team into like a different playoff round if he gets hot at the right time or like really locks up a good matchup for somebody. For the Chicago Bulls, it's not doing shit. Oh my god. Like, and yeah, I don't know. I was just combing through the offseason and I was like, okay, well, you extend Vucevic, and like, I don't know.
Oh god.
Like, I was going through salaries and everything, paying a guy who's essentially, I'll give him like 17 and 8 a year off the top of my head. Giving that guy $20 million, it's not the worst thing in the world. There are guys who are worse that make more money. I'm not sure if he's going to be worth that in 2 years, and it's a 3-year extension. I'm not sure if he's really going to be. Maybe you could trade him at the end, and he'll be money coming off the books for some team or something like that. But it's just like, why are we locking ourselves into this core? Like it doesn't work. We've already touched on it a lot. Like there's no reason to do it. The ceiling of the team is like low and ugly and weird, and nobody's having fun anymore. Maybe the vibes in the locker room rock. I can't really imagine what it's like to.
Oh, they do, because I get they all get along well, and like Demar is like all the young guys love Demar, and they're all having fun hanging out with each other. But yeah, outside of that, no one else is having fun.
Yeah, dude, it's that, and then Io DeSumo. I liked him as a rookie, and I thought he was going to be better this year or this previous season, I guess. And there's kind of a glut of guards on the Bulls just in terms of like people fighting for minutes, especially for like if you're trying to compete but simultaneously trying to develop an early 20s guy. You already have Kobe White, and then Io kind of steps up into a role where you're like, okay, he could be good at basketball. Let's give him some minutes. And now you have those two guys going at it, and it doesn't really feel like anybody's getting any meaningful run. So those extensions, I don't know. It's better than losing them for nothing in free agency. And it
Mm.
would definitely, especially the Vucevic one, would spell the end of this era of the team, which I don't really think that's that bad of a thing, but it would definitely lock that in. But if you want to keep moving forward with the mid three, then yeah, extending him was the way to go, I guess. Congratulations, Chicago's front
Yeah.
office.
Well, you know what Io DeSumo does really well. He's a guard and he plays pretty good on-ball perimeter defense. But so I'll tell you the 0.008% chance of 4D chess that they're playing with the Vucevic extension. So, Kevin Durant, you've heard of
I
him.
have.
You're familiar with
Yes.
him.
Phoenix Sun.
So Kevin Durant, notoriously fickle man, wants to change teams all the time. So, what if I told you years ago, perhaps 5 years ago, I don't know, at some point when Vucevic is in Orlando, a man tweeted that he liked Vucevic's game. That man, Kevin Durant.
It's all coming
And
together.
he's also tweeted that he likes Zach LaVine's game. So maybe if things go poorly in Phoenix, we're getting how old is he? 37
Oh
or
yeah, dude,
whatever
he's
year old
fucking
Kevin
ancient. It's
Durant.
ridiculous. Like he rocks. He's really good at basketball. Not as good as he was, but like, yeah, dude.
Not good enough to lift us to contending in the East, even if we got him. Of the 20 years or whatever, we're not. I guess we are almost at 20 years of Kevin Durant. At the 17, 16 years of Kevin Durant's existence in the NBA, it would be amazing that the Bulls would land him at the 1 or 2 years where he does not catapult you
Yes,
into instant contention. It would be the most Bulls thing ever.
absolutely.
Oh.
Give us you're tired, you're hungry, your old Ben Wallaces and things like that, I suppose.
Oh my god, I was looking at the Bulls subreddit today. They're posting about Ben Wallace. They're like, "Hey, these were his averages. Was he good?" Oh my god, we're so down bad.
No.
It's
They're like he,
disgusting.
he averaged 1.5 blocks. I'm like, there is more to it than that, you know? Like, I don't know. All right. The third question I have for you is about the expectations leading into next season.
Oof.
It feels like I don't know, the way I set these questions up is for a team that is going to have fun next season, like
For a team with
it
hope.
should the question should ramp up how you feel about basketball. You're like, damn, looking forward. We restructured a little bit. We made some moves around the edges, and we might be able to make a little run at something next year. Expectation.
Yeah, I'm not watching the same exact thing I have for the past 2 years. I'm watching something new. That's what other people get to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, carry on.
I'm done. So, expectations for next season. I want to know what a surprisingly nice season would look like, what a disappointing season would look like, and what you feel is like a realistic expectation for the Bulls next year.
So I think the realistic and the disappointing season are the same one, which is just purgatory, like 10th, like play-in team or something like that. Anywhere that's a bad team that you don't get a high pick and you don't make the playoffs. I don't even want to make the playoffs. I don't want to watch this team get stomped into dust by Giannis or somebody else. Um, anywhere that's just in basketball purgatory where we don't get a high pick and we have no success and everything is just the same, that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario for me is that they'd finally come to their senses. They realize we got to blow this thing up. Get him out, get Zach LaVine out of here, get DeMar out of here, get Vooch out of there. I don't even care if we sell low. I just feel like we got to win, or we got to start losing at some point, and those guys are too good to start losing at a prolific level. And but even even if we lose the trades, like we end up giving them away for scraps, we just gotta take a step in the right direction. And so blowing it up would be, I think that's the only possibility for a positive season for me. The only other one, which is probably even less likely at this point than Kevin Durant joining the team, is that Patrick Williams turning into Kawhi finally happens, and then everything else comes into place. It's like, wait a second, Vucevic is shooting 40% from three again, like he did in Orlando for 1 year. By the way, he only did that one time, and then we traded for him after that. But yeah, he's back to Orlando Vooch, and oh my God, Vucevic, he started getting free throws after his 12-year career, whatever, where he's a post up big who averages no free throws. He's like DeAndre Ayton before DeAndre Ayton. Um, he starts getting free throws. Oh my God, miracle breakthrough knee surgery. Lonzo Ball's
Oh my
back.
god. And this is all spurred
Uh,
on by the eruption of Patrick Williams. The 50-40-90 splits translate from 10 points per game
yeah.
to 24 points per game. And he's yet another prolific on-ball defender for the Chicago Bulls. That's where all of this is stemming from. He revolutionizes
Yep.
medicine. He changes the fate of the franchise. Damn, it's
Yes.
really coming together for Chicago next year. If this Patrick
Y-
Williams guy can just get it together, damn.
Yeah, there's a young student at MIT who's like, man, I can't do it. But then he sees Patrick Williams finally did it, and he's like, I can do it. And then he figures out a Benadryl for torn Achilles or whatever is wrong with Lonzo Ball. But yeah, outside we got we it's Buster Boom for me. There is no boom. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I just want to lose. I just
Yeah.
want to lose prolifically and be in the conversation for one of the top picks, because the 2024 draft supposed to suck. Right now it's looking a-okay to
I
me.
swear to
So
God, I saw something where Cooper Flag reclassified to 2024. You're the big draft guy, and so if you know that that's wrong or you don't know anything about it, I'm not gonna like slam my fist down and be like that's God's honest truth. But I thought I saw that, and
so
as someone who's like a transplant Wizards fan, could be cool if he was like there and they got the number one pick this year or something like that.
so what happened was he he reclassified to the 2024 high school class. So I think he'll be in the 2025 NBA draft. He was originally going to be in the 2026 NBA draft, and so we're getting him a year earlier. So that's what happened with him. But yeah, oh my God, that'd be crazy if he went to the Wizards. Because in my mind, if you go to the Wizards, you're just bad. Like it's not
Yeah.
gonna happen for you. Like with when Koulibaly went there, they're a really smart Koulibaly optimist. Shout out Ben Pfeiffer. But as soon as he went to the Wizards, I'm like, it's not
It's
gonna
not working
happen.
out.
It's the
The
Wizards.
offense is not
But
coming together for
maybe
him. Yeah, like he's just
yeah, but maybe Cooper Flag, the best American white boy since Bird. Maybe it's possible for him. Maybe he's too good, and it'll
he'll
happen.
break the Wizards' curse. Yeah, with you and your expectations essentially all being parallel with each other, besides the option of blowing it up, I'm totally on board with that. I feel the same way when I look at this team. Like I thought about it a few months back, probably middle of the playoffs, and I'm like, which fit?
That was probably a dark day for you.
Dude, yeah, like it was awful. The Nuggets were winning so much, and I was like, dude, we could really like come together. Aaron Gordon's knocking down like 36% from behind the line. It's fucking rocks. But I was like, which fans have it the worst? And it was the Wizards for me at that point. And then they moved Beal, and when that happened, I was like, oh, dude, no question, it's the Bulls. Like, because it's so much worse. There's nothing to have fun with when you're just in the middle of the road like that. And when you said, you don't want to see them make the playoffs and get stomped by Giannis, I had like a "that's so Raven" moment where it's not the Bucks that are the one seed next year. It's the Celtics, and the Bulls would be the team that everybody's like, holy shit, they didn't overpay Jaylen Brown because he just fucking lights them up for like 32, 33 points per game
Oh
in the first round or
yeah.
something like that in a sweep. And like they just get to be like, yeah, Jaylen Brown's left. He's been working on the left. Oh my God. And so yeah,
Oh my
maybe
god.
maybe making the playoffs, definitely making the playoffs is not the move for Chicago next season. I'm all with you. That kind of leads into the next one, which is, I mean, we've already talked about this. It's what did you want to see happen with the big three of Levine, DeRozan, and Vooch? I presented three options where it's like they're only a healthy Lonzo away, or they just need a little bit of restructuring, or do you want it blown up entirely? Blowing it up entirely is the only option to me. I don't understand how anybody like watches this, even if you just throw a Bulls game on and you're like, unless you catch the 1 in 6 where like they really click, it's a Levine 35, 37 point performance, and they're just
Mhm.
like, holy shit, this team is pretty good. No, if they match up with any legitimate playoff team, I don't see a world where they come out on top. And there's just so many like it's not an issue that you can fix by doing like peripheral moves around the roster. The issue is the big three are not like that high ends of talent, and they just if you ship them off, and like you said, even if they lose the trades and don't get perfect value for that, I would totally be okay for that. Just because it is like that step, you can start progressing towards like then taking on bad contracts from other teams or giving
Mhm.
developmental minutes to younger guys or things like that. You can't do anything when you're still refusing to accept that your team sucks the way Chicago does.
Yeah, we listen, if we just build if oh my god, if you get me in a room with Jerry Reinsdorf, I can convince him to blow it up, and I'll tell you exactly how. I'll tell him we can be the bad contract destination, and you know what that means? In 2 to 3 years, we can have Fred Van Vliet. And then you can tell everybody Fred Van Vliet is from Rockford, Illinois. We have a hometown boy, and he won a championship. He's a champion hometown boy, and he looks good in red. Come watch Fred Van Vliet. Woo!
Wow, damn, that is a banger sales pitch. Have you thought about this before? Holy shit.
I've all the there's not too many Bulls thoughts to have, so I've had them all 10 million times, and there's so many Bulls tropes. And signing hometown kids is another one of them. There's always a hometown Chicago Bulls player on the team, or a hometown Illinois Chicago kid on the team. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I was terrified we were gonna drop the bag or like do something crazy to get Fred Van Vliet because they would just look at him optically and be like, "This is the ultimate Bulls point
Now
guard."
that I didn't know he was from
Uh,
Illinois, and to be honest, I didn't know like they had that penchant for doing the hometown kid shtick. But like, just if you had told me, the Bulls pull off like an Ocean's 11 like moving parts deal to get Fred Van Vliet on the roster and give him the deal that the Rockets gave him, I'd be like, oh yeah, that makes perfect
checks
sense for the
out,
Bulls
checks
to do
out.
something like that. I cannot imagine a more Chicago front office move, and I don't know. Yeah, I fucking hate. I liked Fred Van Vliet. He was all right. I don't know like what he does for Toronto's like ceiling raising or anything. Houston's out of their fucking gourd, giving both of those guys
Oh,
contracts that like long and everything to even like allow it to possibly impact what you're gonna like start extending and paying your younger guys and things like that, so you can have Fred Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks on the roster. Ooh, that's so gnarly. I'm glad I don't root for them.
I don't know. I don't know what the possible selling point for that was. Like who brought that idea to the meeting room and what even is their justification like in with like they think they're doing 4D chess like maybe we'll pay the guy who had the worst playoff series in NBA history. Maybe we'll give him $80 million and then he'll become the best player in NBA history or something like that. I don't know what they're
The
doing.
law of
Like I
averages, yeah, regression to the mean or
yeah,
something like that.
law of
He's
averages.
got to be really good.
A big swing is coming back. But yeah, I mean, and the sad thing about that is their team just paid over $100 million, whatever, for Fred Van Vliet and Dylan Brooks, and they're in a better spot than my team. they have Shengun, they have Ahmed Thompson, they have Tari Eason, they have all these awesome, cool young guys. Like they're oh my god, they're one of their core players just tried to kill his girlfriend and is going to be off the team and they're still
Oh,
in a
they
better spot than
clear
I am.
Chicago with that, and they you could
Oh
argue
my
that they
god.
missed on number two. and they're still clear of Chicago. That is how rough things are going for the Bulls right now. That's a really good example to put it in perspective. Definitely, that all the Kevin Porter Jr. shit went down. He got arrested and did all of that stuff, and you're still like, yeah, I would pretty easily rather be a Rockets fan than a Chicago fan right now. So sorry that you
Yeah,
don't get to do that.
I'm gonna need Vucevic to be arrested for like tax fraud or something and deported. Sorry, Vucevic, but just actually that was probably harsh. I retract my statement.
Well, he watches this. That's the thing. You gotta be really
No.
yeah. He's like watching, dude. What the, Escobar? What the fuck, man? He was fine with it up
if
to
he
that
knows
point. Yeah, but
if he knows me, he already knows we're not friends. It's not personal, Vucevic, but you've ruined my life.
yeah, dude. And could have had Franz. You know, I mean, now I'm just like bullshitting about the
Oh,
Bulls, but straight up when it happened, I was like, is Vucevic that much better than Wendell Carter Jr.? And then
oh my.
then the Franz stuff happened, and now I'm just like, dude, that is so disgusting. I would hate to be a Bulls fan, man. I'm sorry that your team did that. That was the wrong move.
And Wendell Carter was not even bad for us. He had like one bad half of one season. He was good the entire rest of the time. But what happened was he was bad for like the first half of a season or whatever, and he looked tiny because he was our starting center and he's only like 6'9" or whatever, and he was getting out rebounded a lot. He would have like 8 rebounds. The other center would have like 24, and so our entire fan base despised him. They're like, we're getting destroyed. We need a real center. Hey, Vucevic, he's a 7-footer. This is awesome. This trade rocks. And then immediately it's like, and then another thing is that we killed Wendell Carter's like spacing. He was supposed to be a spacing big coming out of college, and then we had Jim Boylan, and he's like, I don't like
Get
that.
your
Big
ass on
men
the
don't
block.
shoot
Yeah.
threes. Yeah, and then he didn't shoot threes for us, and then now he's shooting threes for Orlando, and they're like, "Whoa,
No.
this is just like that Vucevic guy we had."
But you're
I think he's
24.
shooting.
What the hell? That's crazy.
Yeah, and you're way cheaper, and you're better defensively, and you wear these sick sports goggles. So, oh my god, man, what a disaster! I don't know if we would have taken Franz, but I think there's a good chance we would have, because he just has those vibes. The Michigan white boy. That's a guy the Bulls would
Oh yeah.
go after, and he was a great prospect. I didn't expect him offensively. I did not expect this from him, but he was really good.
Yeah, that's what rocks about being someone who never has takes about draft prospects is that you can just be like, fucking saw it coming, man. You should have watched more Michigan games or something like that. How did you guys not know that Franz was going to be like white Paul George? It was all there. The writing was on the wall, man. Come on, tap in.
Uh, in 2016, where you're like, yeah, you Jokic surprising you? You weren't watching these Adriatic League games, man. Come on,
Yeah,
casuals.
dude. I've told it on a different podcast before. The only reason I'm even like a Jokic fan, well, don't get me wrong, I would have loved this game
Oh, I have
regardless.
heard this story.
Yeah,
You
dude,
just
I was
picked
just a
like an
troll.
obscure guy.
Yeah, like I was like, dude, yeah, I'll do this Jokic guy, and I can fight with fucking Jaleel Okafor Sixers fans and stuff like that, and we can have fun that way. And now every year I'm like, dude, okay, well, it's like 18, 10, and 8 now, and he's shooting like 60% from the field. And then the next year I'm like, okay, well, we're in the playoffs now, and he's averaging 30, and it's just like, I don't know, year after year, I was like,
and
this is getting to be a little bit too much. Come on, man, it's got to plateau
and
somewhere.
and all the metrics are like, hey, this is the best player ever, like by far ever.
I know. And what sucked is it was, to be honest, like back then they hadn't refined all of them super well. So it would be like Jokic, and then it would be like a couple superstars after him, and then be like Andre Roberson or someone. And you're
Yeah.
like, whoa, okay, these obviously can't be telling the truth because that guy's right there. And so I don't.
Or you're like, let's get Roberson and pair him with Jokic, and this is it. This is our path.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as point of attack defenders went circa 2021, I probably would have been fine with Roberson. I was watching the Facundo Campazzo playoff games. I was like, we just got to get somebody bigger in here. I can't handle this anymore. And we did, and it
Oh
worked.
man.
So I don't know. This I think we're on question number 6. Which player are you looking most forward to seeing progress next season?
Probably only Patrick Williams. We got to see what we have in Dalen Terry. He like basically didn't play last year at all. But my expectations are not super high. I'm not like, if we get an NBA rotation player out of him, I'll be like, okay, fine pick. But yeah, I don't have super high expectations. I don't expect our second round pick from this year, Julian Phillips, to play. Um, I don't have great expectations for anybody except Patrick Williams. So that's the only reason I'll be tuning into Bulls games this year, is to see, is he Kawhi or no?
I'm sure the answer will be yes. One of the bullets I had, I was like, is it crazy? Because I'm already so in debt, third mortgage on my house with LaVine stock, that every year I'm just like, this is the fucking LaVine year. I don't care anymore. So maybe, I don't know, at 29 years old, he kind of takes a step in the right direction. How old? I think, probably closer to 27 off the top of my head, but I'm always going to look forward to that hot stretch to start the season and everything, and I'm always going to root for him to really put it all together. But as far as like legitimately young prospects on the Bulls, I think it probably is just Patrick Williams, Kawhi Leonard, and I don't know, like realistically, without the Kawhi Leonard line, what would you like to see Patrick Williams average next season? Like, what do you think? Would you be like, wow, okay, this is a bright spot for the future?
Honestly, anything more, because I feel like, you can fact check this. I feel like he may have had the same exact stat line for all 3 years of his career. Well, one of them was injury shortened, but I think he's like, what is it, 11, 4, and 4, something like that. But he's averaged like the same amount of points. So if he could just get to like 15, 16, still shooting 40% from 3. Last year he was like, by a lot of advanced metrics, he was like the best isolation defender in the NBA. There's a lot of people freaking out about that. And so if those returns are still there, where it's like, oh my god, we got stomped by 50, but hey, he made someone's life hard, then I'm like, okay, that's a piece going forward. But yeah, I would love to see like 16 points at least. And that, another thing about blowing it up is that we would just be able to be like Patrick Williams show, because he's very not assertive. I think he defers to DeMar and Zach because he like respects them so much, and so I don't know if there's a way to get him to take more shots and stuff like that unless they're just not on the roster. Because I don't know if he's going to be able to walk into the building and be like, yeah, it's my time to shine, boys. I'm taking over.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I hope it becomes that, because that is more entertaining. I don't know if it's more entertaining, but it is more. It's less painful to watch because you're not like you're not stuck in the mud if it's the Patrick Williams show. Patrick, like, holy shit, he's averaging 22 and 7, and the splits are really good, and we've won.
The paw.
But beyond Patrick, I'm not gonna juice the final Bulls question here too hard. There are no prospects on the Bulls. It's gonna be a while till they get like a really legitimately nice one. 'Cause that's another thing about blowing it up mid-season, the way the Bulls would have to. You're only one. I mean, the lottery's weird. Maybe you get something really high. Realistically, you're picking at like 8 if you do something like that. And so like
Yeah.
then you're like, okay, well, we just got to take like the guy with upside or whatever, because we're still not trying to win games next year. So I don't know. It's difficult, but Patrick Williams to Kawhi, I'll be on that train for you next season. Don't worry.
Choo choo.
All right. Last question I got.
Your train was so much tougher than my train.
That's what happens when it's an NBA champion train. You got a lot of pedigree. Your
Nice.
Adam's apple shows up, and you're like, whoa, oh my god, Jamal Murray takes it to another level in the playoffs, man.
Ew.
Oh man, all right. No, the last question I got for you: which team do you think is winning the NBA title next season?
Oh man. I genuinely haven't even thought about this all off season long. Who I would imagine the Nuggets. Who in your mind is like your threat? Like who are you worried about taking it from you? I guess the Warriors, like they have a bounce back year, and Chris Paul looks like Chris Paul, and he doesn't die during the
That would be the
playoffs.
most
But
Warriors
who?
shit ever, is to like unlock the late stage Chris Paul. Like they convince him to go to the bench, and then when the playoffs show up, like he does, he stays healthy and he hits all his mid ranges and shit like that. You can't leave him open from three. I'm not
And
terrified.
he's nice to everyone.
Yeah, yeah, he's super chill with not only opposing players. He's not dirty, but he also is like nice to the refs and everything. That would be so Warriors to get that version of Chris Paul. In terms of like threats to Denver's repeat chances, you want immediately off the cuff a healthy Bucks team is my number one in my mind, just because you can Denver could throw Aaron Gordon at him, but beyond that, there's not a ton of forward depth, especially with losing a guy like Jeff Green, who would be a supplemental person to throw at him. But Giannis is also somebody whose play style really takes advantage of the fact that Jokic is not that good of a rim protector. And so like that's number one. And I think Boston, if they work through the plantar fasciitis of Porzingis and the Brogdon bullshit that's been going on lately, they're two. In terms of like Western teams, I want to see how the Lakers gel as far as like new additions. And I think if they want to win a championship, they'll need to let Austin Reeves take a bigger role and take the ball out of LeBron's hands at some point. Not for like the whole game or anything like that, but just in
Mm-hmm.
terms of, especially over the full season, you're going to want the young guy just like carrying a lot more load than like, even if you think it's necessary for him, just to make sure LeBron is good to go in the playoffs. So I would say Bucks 1, Boston 2, and then after that it drops off into like, I say Lakers now, but check in like 4 or 5 months when we're at like close to the midway point of the season. That answer could be drastically different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would bet on the Nuggets, I guess, because I just think he's too good. You know what take I have had this summer? I've been thinking it over, and let me ask you this: Do you think out outside of LeBron, do you think Jokic is the best player that you've ever seen play? Because I think for me, I think I might have him at two, like even including like Prime Durant and everyone.
I think he's better than Prime Durant. I hesitate for 2016 Steph Curry. Like
Mm,
that's, but even to be in that conversation is fucking ridiculous. But I do think it's like LeBron, Curry, and then him, just in terms of like when you watch him click and you see the team that Denver put around him this previous postseason, and you even try to like conjure a team to counter that could realistically exist that isn't like the 92 dream team or whatever, it's like there's so much shit where like there's just too many counters, the team is too versatile. If everybody's even like just being okay from 3 point range when he's kicking it out to them, it's impossible to fucking guard. And so it's just like, yeah, I think he probably is. But I don't know. Maybe if I go watch a little bit more Giannis, I have not been as tapped into the Bucks over the past 3 years as I have been with the Nuggets, obviously. But to me, it feels like with Giannis, when you get into the postseason, it's really more of a matter of like if you know whether or not you're going to be able to slow him down depending on the personnel you have on the roster at the beginning of the playoff
mm,
series. There's like a roadmap laid out to giving Giannis issues if you can like put the guys out there. there's really
Form the fucking
we're
wall.
just gonna build the fucking wall. Yeah, dude, exactly. And I mean, if you got Mark Gasol down there or whatever, then yeah, you can fucking do it. But with
Hey,
Jokic,
he's free.
yeah, I suppose he is a free agent. Damn, maybe we should go out there and get him for that potential finals matchup. We could run him at the 4, and him and Jokic could be just like the slowest front court that the league has ever seen. And so, yeah, I think that's a good take. That's a good question too, because yeah, like it's when you really think about it, LeBron's on another level, but I think Jokic got close to there this past postseason. It was really impressive to watch.
Yeah, like the only knock you can have on him is that he's not a good rim protector, but I people like trying to overstate how bad of a rim protector he is. I think he's just like but like it's like you're watching him and it's like okay, he's historically great scorer, and then if you try and stop that, he's like historically great passer. What do you do? And it just feels like Larry Bird vibes, like peak of his powers. It's funky, but you're just not stopping it.
Yeah, dude. And I don't know. It's crazy to think back on this postseason and what they did to Los Angeles. I know it's like a meme online that the Nuggets fans are just like dunking on what they did to the Lakers every opportunity. And I did that for a little bit. I'm not doing it now. Anthony Davis was having one of the best defensive postseasons we've seen in
Yeah.
a long time in terms of what he was doing to Golden State and to Memphis, and then to just not even be phased by that. I think that's really a testament to where Jokic is at offensively. Because it's like you watch that series and you're like, okay, if they had two Anthony Davises and one could be on ball and one could be that roaming role, absolutely that works. But if you have Rui Hachimura on
Yeah, I
ball,
was
like
gonna say that he locked him up kind of one time for like what 2 minutes.
yeah. Oh, that made me so mad because that game he played the best 3 quarters of basketball I may have ever seen in the playoffs. He had like 33 and like 15 and 9 through 3 quarters. He had missed 4 shots or something like that. And I'm like, dude, this is fucking easy money. And I thought that the series was going to go the way that it went, but then that fourth quarter happened, and I'm like, dude, this is going to 7 because they figured out the Rui roll. Oh my god! So
Man, they unlocked
I
Rui.
know he's all right. I like Rui. He's got a little bit of potential. It's a very classic Lakers pickup though, where it's just like oh yeah, we spent a high draft pick. He's upset. He doesn't want to be here. He's not going to give his effort. Let's send him to the fucking Lakers, where he's like, I would love to live in LA. It rocks here. I want to be a movie star. I'll go 110% for you guys and take $30 million pay cut, no problem.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then I find out that Rui Hachimura is one of the best looking players in the NBA. I hadn't thought about him that way, but then as soon as he gets on the Lakers, I'm seeing all thirst tweets about Rui Hachimura. I'm like, I guess it's valid, but I've this wasn't in the scouting report.
Quoting all those tweets and being like, you guys are casual because you weren't bricked up watching the Wizards games earlier this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
you weren't with him in the Shirozen prefecture, Japan, so don't be with him now or something like that.
Exactly. Fake fans all the way around. All right. Well, that's really all I got for you today. Thank you for coming on. This was a wonderful episode. I had a great time. Is there anything that you want to plug while you have this little platform here?
Yeah, no worries. Just make sure to invoice me that 80K in the next 24 hours. Of course, I gave you the friendly discount, of course. But no, please watch my TikToks on on Pablo Escobar. Look up Pablo Escobar on TikTok and watch my True Jackson VP Cartel TikTok. And then I'm also dropping one. I'm gonna insider info. I'm dropping one right after this about who Mike Breen has been banging the most.
Oh, damn. Hell yeah.
And and then please check out my YouTube channel, Hot Tunes TV China NBA. I'm going to what day is today? Today's Sunday. My goal is to start posting every single Tuesday. I don't know if it's going to start this Tuesday, so here's some things to be excited about. I'm gonna make a video about Trae Young, the blueprint for having success with Trae Young. I'm gonna make a video about Paolo Banchero. I'm gonna make a video about Markelle Fultz, and I think that's all I have in the chamber for now. But stay tuned. Subscribe to Hot Tunes TV China NBA. Go there right now. There's some videos for you to watch. Go watch the interview with Montaigne, the cutting board guy. Does he know
Hey,
ball?
cut a board. Exactly. I mean, he might. You have to go watch the video to find out.
Hot Tunes TV China NBA.
All right, perfect. Thanks again for coming on. This rocked. Thank you to everyone for listening, and I will see you guys in the next episode.